So if we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, one nation under God and one religion under God, right?
This is Michael Flynn. If you're unfamiliar, he was previously a U.S. general who ingratiated himself with QAnon to a disturbing degree. Flynn was actually charged and sentenced, pled guilty to lying to the FBI about having a conversation with the Russian ambassador. So let me tell you exactly what happened with Michael Flynn, okay? Michael Flynn was Obama's Secretary of Defense, I think, originally, back in 2014, right? 2014, Russia invaded Crimea, part of Ukraine, and they took it. Well, Obama puts sanctions on Russia over that, and weirdly, Russia didn't react, didn't say a thing, didn't do a thing. You know Russia, they cry like babies over there when something doesn't go their way. Putin, particularly, cries like a baby. Screams and whines and says he's going to nuke New York City and all that other garbage. He's been doing that for years. So Obama gets to wondering, weird. Why did Putin just accept the sanctions? That's super odd. Come to find out, his, I think, Secretary of Defense, is that who Flynn was? Flynn was promoted to Lieutenant General and assigned as Assistant Director of National Intelligence in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. In 2012, Obama nominated Flynn to be the 18th Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. So he was about as high up as you get without being a full-blown cabinet member, basically, is where Michael Flynn was. As it turns out, Michael Flynn was accused of, charged for, pled guilty to, and sentenced for telling Russia, don't worry about it, I've been working with Donald Trump. When he wins the election, he will lift the sanctions, undermining the authority of the President of the United States. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Russia waited, didn't say or do anything. And then Trump won the election and lifted the sanctions. He lied to people. He subverted the authority of the U.S. government and fed secret information to an adversary nation. He is a traitor to the United States. In my opinion, not a legal analysis, because legally it's really hard to meet this burden. But colloquially, in my opinion, I feel that Michael Flynn is a traitor to the United States. He is a treasonous scumbag and should be in prison for the rest of his life for what he did. So anyways, after getting charged and sentenced, he gets pardoned by Donald Trump. Of course, right? Who would expect any differently? Donald Trump pardons him. After Trump pardons Michael Flynn, he did everything he could to connect himself to the QAnon movement, to ingratiate himself, to build bridges with QAnon. And he succeeded gloriously. So here's where it gets interesting. There's this weird connection between the far right, particularly QAnon and other far right circles, and Russia. 2022 rolls around, mid-January to early February. Russia invades Ukraine. Full-on war ensues, right? The world condemns it broadly. Basically, everybody condemns what Russia did to Ukraine. Completely unprovoked war. They're just chilling, doing their thing. And Russia busts the door down and starts, making a mess out of everything. Nobody supported Russia doing this. Nobody. Except a few very select specific people. They were spreading conspiracy theories that had absolutely no value to anybody except for Russia. This is Delora O'Brien on screen. She's a QAnoner. Early March, so everybody was very opposed to Russia's actions still at this moment. But about 2 months after the Ukraine war started, conspiracy theories start leaking out of QAnon. Listen to what Delora O'Brien had to say about Russia and the Ukraine war. Early March 2022.
I'm on God's side. God's side is the side of truth. It just so happens that right now, our President Trump is on the side of God.
No.
Also, Believe it or not, so is Putin.
No. Why is she's American. Why is she so interested in boosting Vladimir Putin's reputation and ego and talking so highly about him immediately after he started a war, a senseless, meaningless, unprovoked war with a neighboring country? Listen to the conspiracy theory that she spins up here.
Right before I came on here, this is what was sent to me.
Tell us, Delora.
A Russian soldier. I even have his name, and I can't give it. I'm sorry. I can't. Just research it. I'm sure it'll start coming out.
It never did. God, there's some kind of a narration thing that I should throw up, and it never did. Something like that.
Searching for bioweapons. There was him and a few of the other soldiers.
Complete garbage. Russia was not searching for bioweapons. They were never searching for bioweapons. They were starting an unprovoked war for land, blood, and soil. I mean, Vladimir Putin wrote this whole article back in, I think, the 90s about how Ukraine, or the USSR splitting up and Ukraine turning into its own country was like the biggest mistake of the 20th century. Now, if you remember, there were plenty of mistakes made in the 20th century. Germany's mistakes in the 1940s come to mind, but okay, I guess Ukraine becoming its own country is an option, not the one I would choose. Keep listening.
The other soldiers searching for bioweapons in central Ukraine stumbled upon a child trafficking den.
Completely made up. All of it. It's entirely made up. The reason I show you this is to make a very specific point. Russia, in my opinion, is using the far right broadly, but QAnon more specifically, as an outlet for their conspiracy theories. Why would what interest would an American have in spreading this type of conspiracy theory? What value does it have to spread these blatant lies to the people around you? Now, I don't think that Delora O'Brien is knowingly and intentionally spreading propaganda for Putin. I think she probably really believes this stuff, but she's spreading it nonetheless. And I believe that this is coming straight from Putin. I think that the far right and QAnon are just outlets for Vladimir Putin, for Russian propaganda, nothing more. If that doesn't disturb the hell out of you, let me show you something else. On the right here is Rachel Hamm. She was running for Secretary of State of California, and she was a legitimate candidate. She was making the rounds on a lot of evangelical TV shows and podcasts and all kinds of stuff. I don't think she came close to winning points-wise, but she made a splash in the whole thing. It was a big deal. And I covered her. I watched her closely the whole race to make sure that she wasn't winning, because that would have been an absolute disaster. She went on Delora O'Brien to talk to her about various different things unrelated to Putin or whatever. But listen to this. This is late October 2021.
Do you remember when Obama was president? And for those years, we were having a hard time saying Merry Christmas?
No, that never happened. That is a fabrication. Nobody ever had problems saying Merry Christmas, okay? Literally nobody had a problem with this.
Ugh, yeah.
How things have changed.
Yeah.
So much, and that's a lot due to President Trump.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes, and
God
I think even
him.
his absence is important too, because the Lord
Absolutely.
is working powerfully in the absence.
So it's like they fabricate a fake problem, and then when it's time, they just say, oh, it's not happening. Look at that. I solved it. They're pretending that there is an issue that doesn't actually exist, and when it's time for them to win credit, they say, look, I solved it. It's just insane, dude. But my point behind showing you this is to point out the fact that Russia's influence through QAnon and the far right generally reaches its tendrils all the way into Republican political candidates for office. Secretary of State of California is what she was running for. Now, like I said, most of these people, in my opinion, aren't doing it intentionally, but Michael Flynn, it's pretty obvious to me that Michael Flynn sold his country out for $1. Pretty obvious to me that he is a traitor to the U.S. government. Late January 2023, just get an idea of the types of things Michael Flynn, one of the leaders on the far right, is going around saying on talk shows right now, on Steve Bannon's show.
How should that inform the nation on the decisions we're making in Ukraine right now?
And so first of all, our military is their mission is to fight and win our nation's wars. And we have forgotten how to win, Steve. We participate in many wars for decades now, and we have forgotten how to win.
The hell is he talking about? The U.S. military is, in my opinion, the strongest military in the world. Doesn't the U.S. spend more money than like the next 17 countries combined or something like that on its military? Like, oh my God, the U.S. doesn't know how to win wars? What is this guy getting out of making fun of the military that he once served? It's honestly mind-blowing to me that he can sit here and say this stuff. Check this one out, late December 2022. I just want to give you a clear view of Michael Flynn's interests and goals and the things that he has to talk about, the mind viruses that he wants to spread to the people around him.
And they will drag us in further and further into war. They will use words like nuclear, which are really dangerous words to use, and they will use them and they will blame it on Russia. And believe me, the Russian people have no desire to go to a nuclear war. They don't have any desire to stay in Ukraine much longer.
I bet. Well, if anybody would know, it would be Michael Flynn, right? I am 99.9% sure. He's definitely a Russian asset, without a shadow of a doubt. How much of an asset is he? I don't know. Do they feed him information? Probably not. I don't know.
But they're going to stay there, and they're going to meet their what has been described as limited objectives, and they're not going to drag themselves into a. So we're making this guy Zelensky because we allow him to come in there. There's just such ridiculousness, particularly by the Democratic Party, cheering him on as though he's, the guy was dressed in a workout, suit, addressing the United States Congress.
Right. So Zelensky, Flynn has made it like his pet project to shred Zelensky at any opportunity. Why? Got me. What's Flynn got against Zelensky? No clue. Couldn't even guess. It's kind of a weird thing to obsess about, right? Is it weird for this guy to constantly talk about how much he hates Zelensky? This is the first mention, but trust me, I have like 5 more minutes worth of clips here of him talking shit about Zelensky. He does not like Zelensky. Now, as far as the war, the funding Ukraine, funding the Ukraine war or whatever on the Ukraine side, is that worth our time and money? The answer is absolutely and unequivocally yes. Oh my God. We couldn't possibly be spending our money better, honestly, than to spend it on the Ukraine war right now. Let me explain why. First of all of the aid that we send to Ukraine isn't in cash. Not even half of it is in cash, to my knowledge. Most of the aid that we are sending to Ukraine is in weapons and supplies, helmets, blankets, guns, things like that, just supplies of various sorts, MREs and things. The U.S. government has to recycle that stuff about every 5 years or so because of technological upgrades, expiration dates, things like that. We were coming up to a period where a lot of the supplies that we have right now we're going to have to be recycled anyways. So we're sending a lot of that stuff over, which is allowing us to rebuild our own military with newer, better weapons and supplies of various sorts. In the process, it's boosting the hell out of our economy by spending it on manufacturing and things like that. So that's the first major benefit to helping Ukraine by giving them supplies and weapons and things like that. The second major benefit is the fact that we've now discovered that Russia has a completely hollowed out military. Their military sucks. They were supposed to be the third strongest military in the world, behind the US and China. We've come to find that they can't even take on a neighboring country that's like half their size or something. It has exposed the weakness, corruption, and flaws in the Russian military. They are no longer feared. They're no longer considered dominant. And the third major benefit to funding Ukraine is we got to discover all that without losing a single American life. We aren't the ones over there doing the fighting right now. It's somebody else. Now, it sucks that Ukraine has to fight this. I wish they didn't. But Russia brought this on themselves. And now we get to sit here and watch them pay the price for it. Russia also completely destroyed their own economy. In the process of pouring absolutely everything they had into their war machine, they have received, to my knowledge, more sanctions than any country ever, right? Aren't they more sanctioned than Iran now or something? Or than Iran, I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing it. Aren't they more sanctioned than Iran is now? I don't remember what the latest updates are on it. But they stockpiled a bunch of foreign currencies in preparation for this, and they're just burning that up right now. This couldn't possibly be a better decision to spend money funding Ukraine. This is the best place to send money right now. It's stimulative, it allows us to rebuild our military, and it exposes massive weaknesses in the Russian war machine. So let's just step back a few seconds and listen to what he had to say here one more time.
By the Democratic Party cheering him on as though he's, the guy was dressed in a workout, suit, addressing the United States Congress.
Yeah, Zelensky addressed U.S. Congress in a workout outfit. Not a workout outfit. It was the outfit he wears under his war uniform, like under his, flak jacket and his helmet and stuff. The idea is he is in a state of war, and he was trying to express that. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that at all. Honorable, honestly. You know that Winston Churchill addressed U.S. Congress in a, like a raid suit? Is that what they call it? An air raid suit? Back in the day, they used to have these air raid sirens. In fact, I think most countries have air raid sirens. The New York City has air raid sirens. But the idea is there are planes or missiles or whatever flying over top, preparing to drop bombs, and the air raid siren is basically telling you to turn all of your lights off so that the bombers don't have a target to hit. They can't see anything lit up. This is a big thing back in World War II. So if you hear the air raid siren, instead of messing around with getting dressed in the middle of the night or getting out of your pajamas and into your regular clothing or whatever, you just slip a standard kind of overall outfit on called an air raid suit. And you got your pajamas or your whatever's on. It doesn't even matter. You can just throw the air raid suit on, run to the bunker, and get safe. Winston Churchill, leader of the UK during World War II, addressed Congress in an air raid suit. People do that sometimes. There's really nothing bad or wrong or weird about it. Flynn is just looking for any reason to hate Zelensky. Wonder why.
Addressing the United States Congress. And so the things that he said, the direction that he is taking the United States of America is into a place where we do not want to be. We do not want to be tied up any longer in this mess in Eastern Europe.
Dude, this couldn't possibly be a better situation for the United States. A historic adversary is getting wrecked, and we don't have to lose a single American life for this. This is like the perfect situation right now.
This is a mess that was created by people like Zelensky.
No, it was created by Russia. Russia could end this mess right now if he exited. Why is Flynn repeating Russian propaganda? U.S. general, what's the goal here? Why is he doing this? Why is Delora O'Brien repeating Russian propaganda? Where did they get this? These people are outlets for the far right, for Russia.
Place where we do not want to be. We do not want to be tied up any longer in this mess in Eastern Europe. This is a mess that was created by people like Zelensky. It's created by people in our own State Department. It was created prior to the Trump administration in 2014, the time frame when the Russians first went in there.
Yeah, what Michael Flynn is referring to is the time period where Putin invaded Crimea in Ukraine, took a section of Ukraine away, and Flynn told Putin to chill out and wait for Trump to win so that Trump would lift the sanctions. That's what he's referring to right now.
This was totally avoidable. And the fact that we're about to give him even more money just tells you everything you need to know about how corrupt and criminal this entire enterprise is, of what's happening in Eastern Ukraine.
There's nothing corrupt about any of this. This is the best use of our money, honestly. I'd throw more money at Ukraine. I would throw more supplies at them. Hell, replace literally every gun and paperclip and toothpick in the military, if that's what it takes. That's perfect. Economically stimulative for the United States, gives us an opportunity to update and upgrade all of our equipment. And it embarrasses a longtime adversary and shows us what types of mistakes they make. Win, win, win. Why does Michael Flynn want us not to do that? That makes no sense. The traitor should be in prison. I mean, this is like a tour the guy's been going on. He's been doing a tour on every podcast he can get on, talking about how much he hates Zelensky and how much he loves Russia and Putin and how great they are. Seriously. This is a conspiracy theorist in the top right. Mel K is her name. I've covered her on my Unfiltered channel if you want to take a look at it. It's pretty interesting, actually, in my opinion. This is Clay Clark. He's the founder and operator of the Reawaken America Tour, and he works with Michael Flynn on the Reawaken America Tour currently. It's just right-wing extremist propaganda, basically. Listen to what he had to say here with Mel K, early October 2022.
So when you see Putin and a very interesting speech that was just given, I think, literally in the last couple of days by Medvedev, okay, the former. So Medvedev is another guy in the hierarchy. He was the president of Russia for a short period of time. Medvedev's speech was very stern. And so we have got to pay attention because these are not shy leaders. These are bold leaders who have everything at stake in terms of protecting their country. So these fools, and like I said about Zelensky and his statement about nuclear war, and people can go to the various Telegram and my.
Dude, what is he even talking about? Has Zelensky said a single word about nuclear war? Leaders don't usually talk about nuclear war. The ones that do are idiots, generally speaking.
Social media, see it. That is a foolish person. But what's more
what is his seething hatred for Zelensky all about? At this point, is he being paid by Russia? I can't imagine he is, right? I mean, after being charged, sentenced, and pardoned for feeding information to Russia, basically, you would think that the State Department or whoever else would keep a close eye on Michael Flynn's finances, right? To make sure he wasn't receiving stuff from Russia or whatever.
But what's more dangerous than that is a dangerous fool, right?
He's a dangerous fool. Zelensky is a dangerous fool. He says, as Vladimir Putin invades another country for no reason, really. I mean, I want to make a point about the far right and QAnon and the goals that we see laid forth, right? I feel I've established pretty clearly that Michael Flynn is a puppet for Russia, for Vladimir Putin. Is that a fair assessment, you guys think? Is it fair to say that Michael Flynn is simply parroting whatever Vladimir Putin wants him to parrot? Let's see what causes and campaigns and interests Michael Flynn promotes, other than hating Zelensky and loving Russia. Let's see what other things he talks about now. Early March 2022, he went to a campaign event for Jackson LaMayer, who lost his campaign, but was running for state senate or something like that. He's a complete nutter butter. Listen to this.
You read all these.
That's Roger Stone in the background, by the by. And on the right, Roger Stone. On the left, Jackson LaMayer. Michael Flynn in the front. And I'm not sure who this guy is in the back in the middle, but we may get there. Just listen to what he has to say.
You read all these things. You study the history of this country. You study how it was founded. That's why the word creator is in the Constitution 4 times.
It's not in the Constitution at all. It's in the Declaration of Independence once, I think, maybe twice. Okay, so I have the Declaration of Independence pulled up on my computer here. Creator, the word creator appears once. The word God appears once. Now, it wasn't saying that, God created us and blah, blah, blah. Not that it would matter if it did. But really what the Declaration of Independence was saying was our rights came from somewhere outside of government. That's the point that they were trying to express. They could have said anything. Could have said God, could have said the universe, could have said Earth, could have whatever. The point is it's not government. And it was really just an FU letter to King George anyways. But Michael Flynn mixes the two up intentionally, accidentally, I don't know, and claims mistakenly that the word God appears 4 times in the Constitution. Just not true at all.
Times. Right? We are endowed by our Creator.
That's the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution.
The Bill of Rights. When you look at the Bill of Rights, I want you, next time you look at the Bill of Rights, in fact, tonight when you go home, look at the Bill of Rights and lay the 10 Commandments right down next to them. Okay?
They probably don't want to do that. The First Amendment of the Bill of Rights contradicts the First Commandment in the Bible. The First Commandment says, "You shall not have any other gods before me. You must worship this God." The First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, says, "Congress shall pass no laws regarding religion or establishment thereof," or whatever else. You cannot have both simultaneously. They contradict. But the point is, Michael Flynn is promoting Christian nationalism here. I mean, you heard that in the beginning, too. Remember?
So if we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, one nation under God and one religion under God, right?
Interesting, huh? Things starting to get a little bit clearer. In my opinion, it's clear as day that the far right is being seeded with conspiracy theories being pushed by Russia, and Russia also appears to be pushing Christian nationalism. That's just what it seems like to me.
Put them right next to each other, and you'll get a sense of how they developed the Bill of Rights.
No, you won't. They were not based on each other at all. So anyway, I don't know, man. It seems pretty obvious to me that Michael Flynn is simply a puppet for Russia, and basically anything out of his mouth should be taken as such. Dude doesn't seem to have any ideas of his own. None that he expresses from a public platform at the very least. Hell, maybe this guy doesn't believe any of this stuff. Maybe he goes home at the end of the night, lays in bed with his wife, and talks about how he thinks Bernie Sanders is a pretty cool guy. I don't know. But from a public platform, he does nothing but repeat conspiracy theories straight from Russia. And funny enough, he's not very popular within certain Christian circles either. Certain Christian circles have kind of picked up on what he's doing here. Listen to this. This is true news. They're kind of like InfoWars, like an Alex Jones knockoff, basically. This is from late October 2021. They called Michael Flynn out for something. Check it out.
Why is General Michael Flynn carrying around a prayer of a New Age prophetess in his wallet? Now, just in case you think somehow we're misconstruing this and everything, we took General Flynn's prayer, the video, and then we took Elizabeth Clare Prophet's video, and then our editing team today split it up, and we're going to play them side by side, well, going back and forth here. You tell me, you be the judge of this, and you tell me what is going on here. Here's that video.
Uh-oh, it sounds like Flynn was busted, right? They're about to expose him as the fraud that he is, okay? So he's obviously been trying to appeal to the evangelical extremist right for a while. Listen to what they threw together. This is actually pretty good. Again, this news organization, it's not even news. It's insane. These people are nuts. It's worse than Alex Jones, in my opinion, and that's seriously saying something. And they're on DirecTV, so don't take a word that they say for granted. It's all complete nonsense, but they did do a good job with this one specific thing. Listen to what they said about Flynn here.
We are your instrument of those sevenfold rays and all your archangels, all of them.
I am here, O God, and I am the instrument of those sevenfold rays and archangels.
We will not retreat. We will not retreat. We will stand our ground.
And I will not retreat. I will take my stand.
We will not fear to speak. We will be the instrument of your will, whatever it is.
I will not fear to speak, and I will be the instrument of God's will, whatever it is.
In your name, and the name of your legions.
Here I am, so help me God, in the name of Archangel Michael and his legions.
We are freeborn, and we shall remain freeborn.
I am freeborn, and I shall remain freeborn.
And we shall not be enslaved by any foe, within or without.
And I shall not be enslaved by any foe within or without.
Kind of makes you wonder if that's what's happening with Russia, right? Kind of makes you wonder if Putin is writing the cue cards for Michael Flynn. I don't trust this guy as far as I could throw him. And when I hear his conspiracy theories coming out of other people's mouths, like Delora O'Brien, I feel I'm justified in instantly distrusting what everything else that person has to say. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Is he a useful idiot? Is he doing this stuff knowingly? Or is he just completely unwitting in this whole thing? Does he have no idea? Tell me what you think about it.